Hey, it's Inigo here and welcome to my channel. Today I'm making a video about the Finnish Independence, or Itsenäisyyspäivä as it's known in Finnish. Today is the 5th of December. Tomorrow obviously would be the 6th, which is Independence Day or Itsenäisyyspäivä in Finland. So hence why I'm making this video today. It is something that I have celebrated in Finland before. But I've done a little bit of research to try and learn a bit more about Finnish history and a little bit more about Itsenäisyyspäivä. So I'm just basically going to read some stuff that I've learned from the internet. If you're Finnish, I'm probably not going to say anything that's new to you, but I'll probably miss something. So if there is anything that I miss, feel free to add a comment below. If you're not Finnish though, however, hopefully I'm going to say some stuff that is new to you and interesting. Okay, so I'll start. So we'll start with like the furthest history to give all the context that you need to understand why Finnish independence is so important. So Finland was ruled by Sweden from around 1150, so the 12th century. And was ruled by Sweden until 1809, when Finland was then under the rule of Russia. During that time, from 1150 roughly to 1809, there were multiple wars between Russia and Sweden, where bits of Finland were kind of broken off and given to the other side. So it's quite a long time, hundreds of years, where Finland were kind of like between wars with Sweden and Russia. So that's kind of the first bit of context that you need to understand Finnish independence and why it's so important. Swedish was actually the official language in Finland from about the 16th century until 1863, at which point Finnish was also put on the same level as Swedish. So both of those languages became official languages. Apparently, Swedish was mostly spoken by the upper classes and Finnish was more of a lower class language. And at certain points, I think it could have actually been the case where Finnish was completely destroyed and gotten rid of. But luckily, the Finnish language has remained, although I don't feel like I'm that lucky because I have to learn it, but no, like that's a joke obviously, but yeah, so like there was definitely a chance that Finnish may not have existed until now, but yeah, Swedish was the official language from the 16th century until 1863. Finland actually became an autonomous Grand Duchy of the Russian Empire in 1809. And at that point, they developed their own governing bodies. So that was kind of like the start of kind of becoming an independent country. That started in 1809. And then Finland introduced their own currency, the Finnish mark, in 1860, which replaced the Russian ruble. At this point, in 1863, Russia was in power. Oh no, not 1863, 1809, sorry. So from 1809, Russia was ruling Finland, and by 1860, Finland had developed their own currency and overtook the ruble. Finland then became independent on the 2nd of November 1917, following the revolutions in Russia and the abdication of the Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. So they overthrew their monarchy in Russia, and then Finland, a number of months later, within the same year, then gained their independence, and that was agreed upon by the kind of the temporary government in Russia at the time. Then Finland remained divided though, even though they got independence in 1917, and there was a civil war in 1918, and this division remained in Finland until the Winter War, which was the winter 1939 to 1940, where Finland had to come together and unite to fight off Russia. And at the end of that war, Finland also ceded some more territory to Russia as well, but they did well to hold off Russia. And like as a result of that, lots of imagery from the Winter Wars and World War are used during Itsenäisyyspäivä to kind of unite Finnish people, apparently. Itsenäisyyspäivä is a day that remembers, like I just said, Finnish independence, but also those who fought on the behalf of Finland during the wars in the past. So it's kind of got like two uses nowadays. Even though it's Independence Day, it does get used to also remember soldiers who fought for Finland. And like I said, they kind of use that imagery to unite Finnish people during that time. During Independence Day. And like in spite of the division that there was following the actual independence, these wars were used to kind of unite Finnish people. What's next? So the biggest event during Independence Day is the Independence Day reception, where the president of Finland, who is basically like the one that sort of deals with foreign affairs, not the one that really like gets involved in legislation. They're like the ambassador, Finland's ambassador to the rest of the world, their president. The president gets to meet with lots of famous and rich people who they invite to come and meet the president. And this reception apparently, I could be wrong, but apparently began in 1922. And I think although I read that the first invites were sent out in 1919, so maybe because of the war, maybe it didn't go ahead kind of following 1919, but apparently the first one was 1922, where 150 guests were invited to come and shake hands with the president. It's been broadcast on TV since 1982, and people watch it to this day. It's basically, I've watched it on TV, I can't make it through very long, partly because I can't really understand what they're saying, but basically lots of rich and famous people will come to shake hands with the president in the president's like castle. I don't think it's actually a castle, but I think it's called like in English the president's castle. They'll come there, they get an invite, they come there, and the women wear like really nice fashionable dresses, like they're dressing the best they've ever dressed in their lives, and the men obviously will wear like really nice suits and just come and shake hands. And it's kind of like a fashion event as well as a prestigious thing. Apparently nowadays the president invites around 1,800 to 2,000 people, so over 10 times more than the original guest list size. And also in recent years, more and more people from like normal walks of life also get invited. So people who have done something like really positive in society, maybe they work like in healthcare or something like that. So yeah, like it probably was, it still is for like rich and famous and successful people, but they're trying to make it a bit more for everyone. And a joke that I've kind of heard is that apparently like basically on Independence Day, if you're rich and famous, you're going to be at the president's castle. And if you're like everyone else, you're going to be at home watching them at the castle shaking hands. But essentially, if you've got an invite to the Independence Day reception, that basically means in Finland that you've made it. So that's like a really, really big thing in Finland. It's hard for me to get my head around. I don't know if people would be like so respectful in England to get any kind of invitation to something similar. But obviously because of the history in Finland, like this is a really big thing for Finnish people. So I can understand, although I just couldn't see something like this happening in the UK. That's like so popular, basically, by so many different people. But other than that, there's many like church services that happen throughout the day, again to remember like Finnish soldiers that have fought in the wars. Also in Finnish university cities. I've not seen these, but apparently Finnish university students, they'll wear their graduation caps from high school, which are like white caps. And you also wear that on Vappu, which is like I think it's like a workers' day, that they have. It's like a public holiday, I think. And everyone wears their graduation hats. Again, for this event, everyone wears their graduation hats and will hold like lit candles or torches, and you'll have some kind of parade. I know there's one in Helsinki that I've seen. It lasts for about an hour from like 5 till 6 p.m. and people walk through Helsinki with lit torches. And another like really big symbolic thing for Independence Day is Finns also light 2 candles and they place them on the windowsill at 6 p.m. Apparently you're supposed to blow them out at 9 p.m. I can understand why you start at 6 p.m. if I don't know if it's because the Independence Day is on the 6th of December, or maybe it's just like this is a good time to light a candle. I don't know. But apparently this tradition started before independence, and it was to signify to soldiers who have been trained in Germany, like the house that has 2 candles is like a safe house that you can go to if you are like part of the Finnish army who's been trained in Germany. And they basically just kept that tradition and they do it every Independence Day, and it's like a really big thing. I know people will buy like quite expensive candle holders and put these like long like thin white candles. Maybe you can even have like white or blue candles, white and blue candles. That's like a really big thing. Apparently there's not like any specific as far as from what I read, there's no specific like Independence Day foods. But I have made like donuts here called monkey, which is basically like sugar donuts. I don't know if that is like a part of the Itsenäisyyspäivä tradition. Let me know if it is, because I'm probably wrong. But I have had those. We have made those on Itsenäisyyspäivä before. Although we may have also had gingerbread too, and I'm sure that won't be. But I mean, it's so close to Christmas that I imagine people have Christmas stuff. And there's like a traditional drink here that people drink during Christmas, which is called glöggi, and it's kind of like a fruit juice kind of wine. It kind of reminds me of like mulled wine, which we have in England, which is like kind of spiced wine. So like wine with some spices in it that you heat up and you have during Christmas. It's basically the same as mulled wine, in my opinion, but it's just using fruit juice. I'm sure that I think there is like alcoholic versions of glöggi, but I've not tried them. But yeah, like that's all I've got written down on my page. I don't really have much more to say, although if I've missed any like really important tradition or event for Itsenäisyyspäivä, then please do leave it down in the comments. And also, if there's any like key bit of history that I've also missed, do let me know. But this, I think, is like really interesting and kind of gives a lot of context about why Finnish people feel so patriotic. And like one really cool thing in Finland is people will fly Finnish flags in Finland. And I guess in some ways that I think things can always go too far. So like people can be like overly patriotic sometimes, and like you see that in the UK. And like in the UK, if you fly like a Union Jack flag, you'll probably be considered as racist. And the UK obviously has like different history to Finland. Finland have been mostly. I don't know all of Finnish history, and I know Finland have done some things that they're not proud of too, but for the most part, Finland have been oppressed. They're not oppressors. So it's kind of different to like the UK history. So it makes more sense why you would feel proud to fly the Finnish flag, because you've overcome a lot to just exist, to still be a country, which obviously is different to the UK where I'm from. But yeah, so hopefully this kind of shows a bit of context about Finland's history, why they are so proud of their country, why they celebrate Itsenäisyyspäivä, and also I've put down some of the traditions that people do on Itsenäisyyspäivä. Again, like I said, if I missed anything, please leave a comment. Also, if you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment as well. If you're still watching, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.